Hi there, I'm Dean Heskin, President and CEO of Swiss America Trading Corporation. Thank you so much for tuning in to our most recent episode of our podcast, The Secret War on Cash, where we take a hard look at some of the things that are taking place in our financial markets, our economy, with the US dollar, our currency, and currencies throughout the world. I have with me today Chris Agelastos, my frequent co-host. Chris, good morning. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Survived my daughter's senior prom this last weekend, so I feel like I can take on the world now.
Yeah, well, you should. I saw pictures. I know I spoke with Chris recently, and he was telling me over the weekend that after that, he needed an extra day of recovery time. So hopefully you feel a little rejuvenated today,
Much better.
having a couple days of work. Sometimes after you're going through something like that, seems like a reprieve just to be able to go to the office. So
For sure.
it's amazing. I've known Chris for a lot of years since both of his children were born, and now one's
Yeah.
graduating high school. The second is graduating high school, going to college. The first, so is she going into her junior year this year of college?
Yeah, she'll be going into her junior year. Yep. So it's
Wow,
flying by.
seems like yesterday that they were just freshly born. So.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, let's talk a little bit today about BRICS, a
Yep.
topic that's come up quite a bit over the last several months. And part of the reason it keeps coming up so much is because BRICS is growing like wildfire. In fact, in the article that's on your screen now or in your description, if you're tuning in audio, de-dollarization is in full swing. And that really has been the constant and consistent theme with BRICS is
Yeah.
de-dollarization. The world is basically fed up of being held hostage, if you will, to the US dollar.
Hmm.
That's a negative way of looking at it, and the most positive way of looking at it. One of the achievements that these nations are hoping to and expecting to gain by aligning themselves with BRICS is it's going to allow them to focus on their local currencies and strengthen their local currency, which in turn will strengthen their local, their overall economy.
Yeah.
And that's we have this article. Another article I was reading about this, Chris, is because of this de-dollarization that most economists agree that the U.S. dollar is going to be the first casualty of BRICS
Hmm.
because we went from a dollar-centric world, and now the dollar has a very viable competitor as it pertains to what other nations are doing with BRICS. So, what do you see happening with BRICS? Or do you think this is
Yeah.
something that within the next few months, few years, that it is going to have this negative impact or to take this negative toll on the US dollar, like many are suggesting?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's hard to pick a specific timeline, but what we do know is their main agenda, the main agenda of BRICS is expansion and de-dollarization, and they're not shy about that. It's not like this is some conspiracy theory. I mean, this is what they are coming out and talking about, and like you mentioned, they want to put their local currencies first. And what started out as a relatively small group of a few nations, um, going into this, I think it's October is their next summit. They've got 40 countries that have expressed interest into joining. So this isn't just a small group anymore that is trying to, help their economy and put a little bit of a hurt on the U.S. This is turning into a big thing, and really, it's kind of dividing the world, into two groups. You're sort of going to have to pick. You either want to be with the dollar or be with BRICS. At least that's the way it's looking now. And so with them trying to take over financial supremacy, it's going to be a bit of a battle, and it's
Sure.
hard to say exactly. I mean, I'm obviously I'm very pro America and our currency, but at the same time, I can also see why they are making this push. So we definitely have a big battle ahead of us, and whether or not that's 2 months from now or 2 years from now, it's the path we're on. So we're going to come across these major changes, and we need to start preparing for it soon.
Sure. Well, yeah, and I don't believe it's all or nothing deal for those who are aligning themselves with BRICS, meaning, it
Hmm.
doesn't, a prerequisite is not that you have to completely abandon the dollar. But the
Right.
problem is that the benefits of them abandoning the dollar far exceed, what they're currently dealing with or have been dealing with in some cases for generations now, in
Yeah.
trying to bring stability and growth to their economy, their currencies, et cetera. And
Yep.
taking it a step further, we talk about how, again, many experts suggest that the dollar will be the first casualty to, BRICS when it really finally starts taking off, which it really has, but it
Yeah.
hasn't. I guess when I say when it starts taking off is we haven't seen it have that adverse effect per se on the U.S. dollar yet, at least to
Right.
the extent that they are suggesting it might.
Hmm.
Um, but what's interesting in this next article, we have the many people know who follow finance, Robert Kiyosaki, who's
Hmm.
been over the years pretty much in tune with some of the changes and shifts in the markets, in the economy, et cetera. And in this article, as you see in the title there, he says the U.S. economy, excuse me, is in a depression as the dollar strains. Now he's saying
Hmm.
depression. We've been hearing for months, even gosh, probably close to a few years now, about a recession coming, and actually it's been the back and forth. Are we getting a recession? Are we not in a recession? But he's actually saying, and it is asked in the contents of this article, is the American economy in a depression? His answer is definitively yes.
Yeah.
Speaking of definitively, he defines depression, or he says definition of a depression is an economy that is in subpar growth. In other words,
Hmm.
the economy may be growing but below its potential. So I
Yeah.
mean, based on the reports and the findings that we've been watching over the course of the last several months that we've been doing this podcast, if nothing else, would you agree with that? Do you think that he could be right? We are actually in a depression.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the numbers, right, the last quarter of 23, we had 3.4% growth in the economy, which is a low number, but again, at least okay, at least it's positive. But now in the first quarter, we're at 1.6%. So it basically was cut in half. A low number was cut in half in one quarter. And so while those numbers don't, may not sound high to somebody that doesn't regularly follow this, that's a big drop. Your growth being cut in half, and it already wasn't great. So, and he uses that to point out, forget about a soft landing, right? You can't have a slowdown happening that quickly in a short amount of time and have a nice soft landing. So he's predicting, because of increasing debt, skyrocketing inflation, which is something that I think all of us can feel.
Right.
And he blames some of it on Russia and China. We're big players in BRICS. They're already doing 90% of their trade amongst their two countries in their own currencies. So we have this kind of perfect storm of all these pressures being put on the U.S. economy, and you see central banks around the world kind of shoring up their reserves with gold in order to protect themselves. So if you just looked at maybe any one of these things, it's just one piece of the puzzle. But when you really take everything into account, I think it's pretty clear that we're headed down a bad path. And if he's not 100% right, I think he's mostly there, and so that's still pretty bad and scary for the average person.
Yeah, and that's I guess part of it too is like we talk about as we have been talking about, the what's happening with BRICS and the problems that are on the horizon. But like when you look at it in the context of what Kiyosaki is saying, talking about a depression and that we're not heading towards it, but we're actually in a depression currently.
Yeah.
I guess as I read that, it's not, you talk to 10 different economists, you'll get 10 different opinions. You probably get 10 different definitions of what truly is a depression. Not probably, you
Sure.
would. Um, but when you get it right into what Kiyosaki's discussing here, it all makes sense. It all seems
Hmm.
very plausible. It all seems very real. And I think it seems real because each and every one of us, those people who are tuning in right now, as well. We are all living in the reality of what today's economy is, and it's
Right.
not a tough sell to say, yeah, we may be in a depression. Well, to learn
Yeah.
more about this, Chris, thank you, and other
Mhm.
things in the economy, this fits right in with the Secret War report that we put together a few years back and has been our most requested report because it takes a kind of a look at some of the shifts, some of the changes that are happening, and some of the things that you will likely expect to see in the future. If you haven't called to receive a copy or gone online to receive it, do so today. It's totally free. You can contact us via phone at 1-800-289-2646. Or visit us online at Swiss America, SWISS America, all one word, .com. This is Dean Heskin, as I said, President and CEO of Swiss America Trading. Thank you for taking a moment of your day to listen to us. Chris Agelastos, my co-host. We can't wait to come to you again and bring you some more exciting information as it relates to what we might expect to see in the days, weeks, and months ahead. Thanks again, and have a great rest of your day.